Ta-da!
Hey.
You do the finger thing too, huh?
Yeah, well,
We're-
it's the Joe. I
It's the
gotta do
thing.
it.
You gotta do the
Feels
joke.
good. It feels good when I do it.
It does. That's why I do it, because it feels so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good.
Feels just
Everyone
like
should
it
do that.
should.
Mm-hmm.
Super good.
Super good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. You guys made it. This is the last one of the year.
Ooh, wow. You're right. I guess it is.
It is. This is a special edition, Don't Worry Wednesday, the last one of the year.
What?
Um, this is where
What?
the show is all about you guys.
Oh, that's totally different. Are we gonna call like? I guess maybe we'll switch it up. Maybe we'll like try to cover their issues or problems and like I don't know, just try to be a good friend and
Yeah, it's
give
exactly
them
what we're gonna
advice
do.
from our own
Yep. In
experiences.
this special edition, we're gonna especially do that.
Okay, cool. We'll give it a shot for the first time ever.
Ever.
But you save that for next year, guys.
Oh, my bad.
You gotta
Yeah,
do the
maybe,
best that you've got for the reds
maybe.
at it's the end of the
Oh, we
year.
gotta
Gotta bring some
Yeah,
extra something special.
yeah.
for really?
Yeah, maybe this
All
time
right.
we'll try derailing a little bit, a couple times, like throughout.
We never ever do that ever.
Yeah, never done that one. We could try it.
No, we totally could try. Yeah. But welcome you guys to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show that's all about you and whatever you guys might be going through. Life can be really, really interesting sometimes. We go through some seasons, and sometimes we can feel alone or maybe a little bit lost. And we do this show to try and help. We are not professional therapists or counselors or anything like that, but we just want to be your friends. We want to help in any way we possibly can. Share some love and encouragement and maybe some perspective and just help, because sometimes it can be hard when you're in the middle of something to even see the whole picture. And an outside voice, looking at it from the outside can really help, put things together in our minds so we know what to focus on next. I know that that's been very, very important anytime that I've gone through challenges, whether it's required a therapist or just a run of the mill problem that, I've been facing. Sometimes having a friend just point out some detail that I might be missing or asking a question that I haven't thought to ask about it can be really,
Hmm.
really helpful. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you have a topic that you would like to submit to us, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. You can click the submit a topic button and fill out the form, and we would be happy to do your topic. We got a handful of new topics from you guys today, so yeah, we're gonna jump right in and see how far we get. So yeah, but before we do
Yeah.
that, how are you guys all doing in the chat? How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing really good, but Ash just made the suggestion that we make the show go until midnight for New Year's. Princess is grinning with a no. A very
Well, does
she's
that
already she
mean
came in pretty tired, so we don't want
does that mean
to.
we have to stay until New Year's midnight?
I know that's what I'm thinking. That means we stream for several days straight, all the way into the 31st.
I
All right,
mean,
Ash. Challenge taken.
You are
Don't
welcome
expect
too.
anybody to be here, but we can leave the stream on for you.
Oh boy.
We totally could do that. That'd be something. Wouldn't it be crazy? By the time Saturday rolled around, me and you.
Yeah. You got a problem? We'll try to answer it. Yeah.
You got a problem. It's your problem. I got my own set of
Yeah.
problems now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah,
Mhm.
so I'm Joe. With me is Ryan, also known as Static P. With us also is Princess. She keeps this show on the rails as best as she can. She's got us to work with though, so it's quite a challenge, I have to say. But she does such a wonderful job, and she looks great while she's doing it too. Um,
True.
but yeah, so what else did I have to say? Oh, if you do have a topic and you're here and you'd like us to cover it, you can go feel free to at Princess Yellow in the chat, and she'll be happy to get it in the queue for us. She's working on processing topics right now, the new ones that have come in. So we're going to start with a topic from the it's an anonymous person. They said their name was the Bus Love Problem.
Oh, they put their
That
name in the thing, and
that was
okay. Wow, that's fine.
their name is the Bus Love Problem with a scared face. It looks like. And this topic is called the beautiful girl on the bus. Oh boy, from the Bus Love Problem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this topic up on the screen so that you guys can read along while Princess reads it aloud. And so here it is. And Princess, whenever you're ready.
Give me just a moment to pull it up myself.
All right.
As it has been stated, I've been working on topic processing.
Yes.
Here we go. It's a long story, but I want to hear your opinions on this matter. So lately, I've been going with the bus to work, and always see this beautiful girl sitting on the bus. Ooh woo. And I've been wondering how to start a conversation with her. I think I saw her playing Among Us on her phone, a popular video game, and thought that I could start a conversation with her by asking her something about the game. What do you guys think? How should I start a conversation, and what topics could I talk about? From the Bus Love Problem.
The
Nice.
Bus Love Problem. Sounds like an awesome rock band name. It does, doesn't it? Soaking Pillow.
We were singing little ditties about the bus love problem
The
before we
Bus
started the
Love
show,
Problem.
actually. It's great.
Yes, it is awesome. So Anonymous. I'm just gonna call you Anonymous because if I called you the Bus Love Problem every time, it would get to be a mouthful, and I'd probably trip over my tongue. So I'm going to just call you Anonymous. But yeah, this is a great topic. You know, those of you who've been on this show anytime recently, like in the past year, you know, my initial response is going to be like, run away. See a beautiful girl, run away. Don't
Seen
even
ugly
get
girl.
involved.
No such thing. Just all girls just run away.
Run the opposite direction. No. No, I totally am joking. You're really on the right track here. You are doing what I've heard and becoming a prodigious noticer. You're noticing that she was playing Among Us on her phone, or at least you think you saw her playing Among Us on her phone. And that's, you know, those can be conversation starters. Anything that's happening around you that you both can see or experience, you know, as you look at the world and you see something interesting, you can, you know, that anything can be a topic starter. You know, even what time is it? Or how do you like the weather? Or man, this bus sure does stink in here. Or who's that dude over there? That guy's freaky looking. Or whatever. I mean, you don't have to do that. Only do that if I'm on the bus with you.
Did you see the road? You see the road outside that we're on?
It's got pavement on it.
Yeah. It's got yellow lines and white lines. What do you think they mean? It's a good starter.
Wait. I'm sounding like Odysseus. Uh-oh. Do I sound weird or
Oh, no. Like
plug
from the
your-
Odyssey, because he runs away from the sirens. Is that how this is correlated?
Oh yes, plug your friend's ears with wax, tie yourself to the
Yeah.
mast.
That's right.
Yes, when I said run away. Run away. Yep, as quickly as possible. But no, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do to start conversations. I mean, I start conversations routinely at gas stations with people, you know, with the person working there. And I'll just say, hey, you guys having fun in here? I said that actually yesterday. I went to Qdoba, yesterday or 2 days ago. with my boys, and they were making our burritos, and I asked the person who was working on the burrito. There was a little bit of a moment of silence while she was like putting the burrito shell in the little squasher heater thingy, whatever. And I was like, "You guys having a good time in here?" And she didn't even say a word. She just chuckled. She was just like, and that was
That's
it.
great.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that answers that question." Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot can be said with just that little.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is good. I cannot wait to hear what Ryan has to say. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him run with it. So Ryan, take
All
it
right.
away.
Um.
Run with your bad self.
All right. I'll
Yeah,
do. I'll try. I'll try. But I'll try not to run like a penguin because they
just your bad
don't
self
run
though.
well. Yeah. Okay. I'll run
Yeah,
with my bad self. I'll take my good self and I'll let that sit.
yeah,
um.
perfect.
I think Joe's right on. Sorry, right on the point here. I think what you already have is like good. Um, as Joe said, be a prodigious noticer. I think that that's super huge. Like literally, when I was in high school, I was trying to get better at my people person skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I would do is I would notice things about people and just comment on them in positive ways. So people's shoes. And I would just preface it like, hey, this is gonna sound weird, but I just actually think that your shoes are really cool. Where did you get them? Or your pants. I really like your pants. Hey man, your pants are really cool.
Mm.
Um, or whatever it is. Um, I remember sitting next to a girl and being like, "Hey, I've always admired how much effort you put into your work. I'm impressed." And she's just like blown away, right? And she's like, "Wow, thanks." And then we had like a short conversation, and then she went on her way, and I went on my way. We never really talked much again. But if I wanted to at that point, I could then pursue more conversations easily.
Mm.
Because at that point, we had kind of struck a chord, and it was like, okay, it wasn't so awkward to be around this person anymore, right? And so, I think that whatever it is, I understand you might get that feeling of like, well, I don't want her to think that I've been like watching her, you know. But the truth is that you have been watching her, and that's okay. Um, um, but I think I think things that are easily seeable are fair game, or things that are deep, um, and like deep compliments, compliments that are like are rich, like the one I said earlier, where you just say, I noticed your work ethic, or I noticed this, personality trait about you that I really appreciate and admire. I think this is really cool. If you wanna go a different route, you can literally just like as you're walking on the bus, if you see her or whatever, you just be like, "Hey, are you nice or are you mean?" She'll be like, and then just whatever she says, whether she says mean or nice or she's like, I don't know, just be like, cool, well, I'm gonna sit here then. Because that's what I want today. So like literally, it's not that hard. It takes courage though, doesn't it?
Hmm.
It's scary. It's courage. It takes a lot of courage, and it's scary when it's like it feels like there's so much on the line because you like recognize like your first impression is gonna carry through, and if you are attracted to this person and you're thinking like, hey, I want to see, I'm attracted to this person. I'd like to be friends with them. When you have like that relationship before you've even started it is hanging on the line of your next move, right? Suddenly it becomes very tense.
Mm.
Becomes
Mm.
very it feels like everything's on the line with just one word, one
Mm.
line, one
Hmm.
whatever, right?
Hmm.
And that's hard. That's a hard place to be. Whether you've had a friendship for years or you're beginning the friendship, when it feels like everything is riding on the line of your next comment, that is hard.
Hmm.
And so yeah, practice, having good relational skills, having good communication skills, having good tact and prudence, and being able to notice good qualities about someone, all these things are really important and they go a long way. Um, but if you can just start that conversation in this scenario, by the end of the bus ride, probably you'll be feeling okay,
Mm-hmm.
confident. That's usually the way things go. Like, you just sit down and you start the conversation, and it might go somewhere and it might not. Here's the thing though. If it doesn't go anywhere, don't count that as failure. Don't go like, "Oh, we only said like a sentence each and I'm getting off the bus now, and what a failure am I. I can never sit next to that person again."
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that. That's not accurate at all. If that's how it goes and you get off the bus, next time just sit down next to him again. Maybe you'll have another one sentence conversation, or maybe it'll bloom into a 4 sentence conversation or a whole set of paragraphs between you.
Mm.
If you sit down next to them and you have one conversation and you get off the bus and it's just like a bunch of silence after that, or feels awkward, that's a victory. That's a victory.
Mm.
For 2 reasons. One, it's a victory because you sat through awkwardness,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you need in order to be the kind of person that's courageous enough to sit next to a person and start a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to come to terms with the fact that at any time in life, things can get awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know how to sit through it, navigate it, and accept it, to embrace the awkward, if you can embrace the awkward, you will be good at just meeting and talking to new people easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you sit down on that bus and you start a conversation and it gets awkward and there's just silence and you're like, crap, what do I do now? 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 I don't know what to do. I could try one thing. Oh, I'm too scared. Whatever. Whether you do anything or not, you sat through the awkwardness. And as long as you don't give up after that, you've won. Why? Because you've had a victory in here and in
Mm-hmm.
here, right? That's huge. That's necessary. That's going to be necessary in life. Just courage is important. And if you're afraid of awkwardness, it takes courage. And so when you embrace that awkwardness, you develop courage within yourself. You develop the ability to get over anxieties, social anxieties. Okay? So that's huge. That's huge. That's a victory. That's the first victory. The second victory is that you've now begun a relationship with this person. Before this point, it was 0. Now, at least, you've got 1 point into it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you'll have 12 points into it, right? I don't know how the scaling, I'm just making up terminology here, but you have invested time into that. And you are no longer in this situation where both of you don't know anything about each other, and you're like, I don't know who they are. Now, suddenly you're like, they're an acquaintance. We talked once,
Mm-hmm.
I know them. They're relatively nice. We sat next to each other and they didn't stab me, so yeah, it's a cool guy. And that
Right.
sounds like, okay, that's not that close. Of course it's not, but it's better than being complete strangers. So you've had a victory.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind that these things are, or sorry, keep in the back of your head when you're approaching her, and you're gonna go sit down next to her or begin a conversation, that it's gonna be a victory if you can sit through it, regardless of how well the conversation goes. But as Joe was saying, if you can be good at noticing things, especially good qualities about people, that's going to be huge. That applies everywhere, across every social, every social engagement, no matter how long you've known them. Being good at noticing the good in someone else is so beautiful. And yeah, and as Nyansai said, don't be afraid to lose her, because that's gonna make you so tense inside that you won't be able to be yourself. And the thing is, if you're trying to begin a relationship with someone, you want that to be honest and real.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can be yourself at your best level, right? and that is like trying to improve yourself and be a good person, etc. But you don't want to be this person who's so uptight and tense and worried that you can't be free to just be yourself, to to say your things that you think are funny, or to make little comments about this or that, or to open up about sharing some things you're passionate about, or engaging her on the things that she's passionate about, because you're so uptight that, I mean, especially engaging her on the things that she's passionate about, because if you're so worried about the things that you say, your mind is going to be buzzing like 900 miles an hour going, oh, what do I say next? What do I say next? Oh, how do I make her like me? How do I make her like me? And you're not even listening to her. You're just trying to figure out how to look cool, how to look impressive, when what you need to do is just engage her as she is, right? Because honestly, if you don't even know this person quite yet, it's definitely the time to figure out who she is before you get too far involved. And letting her know who you are is super important, because you don't want to be in a relationship with someone that you have to pretend you're something you're not. And especially if it goes the long distance, right? Sounds like you might be hoping it goes the long distance, whether it be friendship or companionship, whatever it is. You don't want to you don't want to be in a scenario where you're not free to just be yourself throughout that. You don't want to be like, because here's the thing: if you go into a relationship, like if you start your relationship off with the feeling of anxiety, you are going to train in your head the habit of being anxious when you're around this person. If you start your relationship with someone as being super hyper and excitable, your brain, whenever you encounter that person, is going to have the habit of going, all right, initiate hyper mode, right? Hyper engaged, happy time mode, right? Your brain, when you encounter people and you start a relationship with them, you're actually creating, how you act actually creates habits of how you interact with that person from then on. So you want to try to be as calm and collected and just yourself as possible. And I know that's really hard because you're worried. But as we're saying, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of losing her. Just the thing to be afraid of is you not being yourself. There's nothing to lose here because you don't have anything yet. So just go in and appreciate who you are, and appreciate how you can add to their life, and then appreciate who she is and how she can add to your life, right? Just go in and be a friend and be yourself. And I know, again, that's hard when you're anxious. But I don't know how you resolve that anxiousness other than to do just this one thing. And that is, before you go, you sit next to her, you affirm who you are. You say, this is who I am. You don't have to go through the list of like what you are, etc. But just be like, let's say your name is Daryl. You're like, geez, I'm Daryl. I got this.
My name is the bus love problem.
Yeah, geez, I'm the bus love problem. I've got this. You sit down next to her, and you say what you're gonna do. You just say, like, I'm gonna sit next to her. I'm gonna start conversation. I'm gonna see where it goes, and I'm gonna have a fun time, and it's gonna be cool. It's all right. It's not really a big deal, because I'm bigger than this. I'm a whole human being. I've got plenty of other relationships. Some good, some bad. Doesn't matter. I've got this. And you sit next to them, and you give it your best. And that's the only way I've ever been able to do that, because I think when you commit before you sit down, you commit to what you're going to do, that you're just going to have fun, that you're just going to act like you guys have known each other for a long time and it's totally fine to have a normal conversation with them. Commit to that. And you commit to that idea before you sit down, you already got the ball rolling. That boulder is already being pushed. Then when you sit down, you follow through with that commitment, and you just act like you've known each other for years, right? Like there's no reason to be uncomfortable, and you just engage in that conversation. That boulder has now momentum, and it's just going to keep on rolling. And then the whole rest of the bus ride is going to go easy. Okay? So That's the only way that I've known how to get over these problems, is to commit in my head, then do the thing I said I was going to do. And that just keeps that boulder rolling easy peasy. And it feels like the time of your life. It feels so great. It feels like, oh my gosh, I just did that. I owned that. I am Daryl. Dang. Oh man, I'm awesome. It feels so good. Yeah.
Daryl with a capital at the beginning.
And a lowercase k.
Mhm.
Daryl. Who's Daryl? We don't know who Daryl is. I'm just making up a name for Bus Love Problem. I'm Bus Love Problem. What up? I'll be your problem. You're not my problem. Or whatever, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so that's my best. That's what I can offer you from my personal experiences. I don't think I can do much better than that. But just try to commit. Say, I've got this. I've got this. All I have to do is sit down, be myself, have a conversation, just, it's totally normal. It's a totally normal thing to do. There's nothing weird about it. Don't worry about looking weird or being off-putting or asking the wrong questions or being over-personal. just talk about the things that you like to talk about. Listen to the things she wants to talk about. Ask her questions. Joe's probably got a lot on that. So I'm gonna give it to him. So thank you for listening, and I hope that it's helpful. Yeah.
That is very helpful information. Thank you, Ryan. And
No.
I love what you were saying, because yes, it's true. Like, part of this is going to be like building yourself up, to do this this thing that's uncomfortable. It's weird because, we're intimidated by beauty. We're attracted to beauty and we're intimidated by it. At the same time. It's weird. And I don't, it's like I am super intimidated by all of you in the chat because you're also beautiful.
Because you're so beautiful. Yeah.
I'm intimidated by Ryan. I'm super intimidated by Princess because there's just so much beauty. And don't shake your head. I see you. But it's weird like that, right? Because like when we and I don't even necessarily know why. And maybe part of it is because, like Ryan was talking about, we get built up into our heads that we have something to lose. That we get, oh man, what if I'd really like to date this person, or I'd really like to get to know this person, and what if they're mean, and what if they don't like me, and what if they, whatever. But we get paralyzed by all these what if questions, and then we end up just frozen and we don't do anything, right? But here's the thing. Lots of people would love to make a new friend. There are a lot of people out there that you pass by every day that would love to have a new friend, or would love to pass the time, or would love to talk to someone, or like to pass the time on the bus ride, normally when they're just playing a game or whatever. Maybe a lot of those people would love to have a conversation and get to know somebody, but we're all too nervous to make that first move. And so just by you asking this question of, what can I say? What can I do? This tells me that you are willing to make the first move. You're willing to put yourself in that position. And that puts you in a crazy small percentage of people. So you are unique and rare and valuable. Not just because of that, but, I just wanted to let you know that this is a rare thing. Like, people don't generally try and find the nerve to do that. But then we get motivated to do so. We see a beautiful girl, and then, we're like, oh, hey. And then we freeze. And so we got to like come up with a way to get ourselves over that. And Ryan had some great stuff. So I would go back and listen to what he said. You can build yourself up a lot with that kind of stuff. There are 2 books that I can think of that have helped me greatly in breaking the ice with people, whether it's just somebody that I want to get to know or whatever, right? I mean, just whoever and for whatever purpose. And those books are how to have confidence and power in dealing with people with less by Les Giblin. I should just slow down, and then I'll talk more clearly.
Nah, you got to keep up, man.
And the other one
It's a race.
is The Question Behind the Question by John G. Miller, QBQ. And both of those, like, I'll mention one thing from each one. The How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People book. He says, conversation and friendships would be so much more fruitful and so much more engaging and just fun if we just open our mouths and let our tongues wag all over the place. Now, not actually physically doing that, but the point is to just say, to just speak. Even if it's trite, because a conversation gets started, it gets warmed up with, little things. You don't start by saying, oh, what's your great uncle's cat doing or whatever, right? Like you don't start with some kind of deep topic. You start with, man, I love what Meow said. Something about how where's it at? Oh, one way you could start talking to her is by telling her you've noticed that she rides the bus regularly and you've wanted to talk to her. You can word it in your own way that's natural for you. And that's a great sentiment. You can totally do that. Like if this is somebody you see on the bus regularly, it's only natural for you to say, hey, like I noticed you're on here when I'm on here. Do you work? Are you headed to work too? Like I am, or what? Something like that. And who knows where it goes from there. Here's the thing. You don't know anything about this person yet. They could be a total jerk. You never know. I mean, you don't know until you talk to someone. Or, you might talk to them and they might be having a bad day. They might just be like, ugh. They might answer, or they might just look at you funny and go back to their Among Us game or whatever, right? So you never know what's going to happen until you actually do something. But, we get built up into our heads, the way we want the thing to go. It's kind of like the cut scenes in movies where two people are sitting next to each other and then all of a sudden they start talking and then the bus explodes and, like all these things happen and blah, 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 blah. And there's this big, huge drama and crazy. And then all of a sudden it flashes back to them just sitting next to each other again. Like, because that was all just, somebody's imagination, all these things that happened, right? But, like, we get built up in our heads, this huge thing. And then, we actually get to the moment and it goes nothing like we expect it to. Most of the time that I've had a conversation with someone, that I've struck up a conversation, actually most of the time when I've thought about something, how it was going to go, how it was going to be, it's turned out way different than I ever expected. Than ever I thought. That the way that I built it up in my head, how it was going to go, it went way completely different. So I've learned to, kind of temper my expectations a little bit and be like, I don't know what to expect. But what I do know is I'm going to try. I'm going to move forward. And we're going to see where it goes. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't be good. Who knows? But the point is, just let yourself relax and say stuff. And it's okay. You're not gonna screw up by, say, I mean, you might screw up. You might say the wrong thing. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. You're not going to, gain or destroy a friendship based on one icebreaker that you flubbed. It's just not going to be the case, right? I mean, that's if you're supposed to be friends, you're going to end up being friends. Okay?
Fair enough.
Yeah, so and it's okay. Either way, it's okay. Because, I've had lots of friendships that were there for a season, and I have some friendships that have lasted a really, really long time. And I cherish all of them. I value all of them. They've all taught me something. And it's pretty wild. Anyway, so that's the thing from Les Giblin's book is just, open your mouth, just relax and say something, and it's okay. It's okay whatever it is. It could sound dumb when it comes out of your mouth, but sometimes dumb can be charming and funny.
Mm-hmm. We can laugh at it together.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow, that was a dumb comment.
Yep,
Oh wow, that was
absolutely.
funny. And you can both
Absolutely.
share that moment of funniness. I mean, I've done that plenty of times.
Mm-hmm. But don't try and think up some clever pickup line. Just, say something. It can be witty or it can be clever or you can notice something. But here's the real key. The real key after that, after you break the ice, the key then comes from the question behind the question, John G. Miller's book, where he talks about looking for road signs in the conversation. Where, okay, your job, the one of the best ways to engage somebody is to ask questions and then listen to their answers and be interested in them, be interested in what they have to say, rather than thinking, okay, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next that's clever? What am I going to say next that's witty? What am I going to say next that's, no. Listen to what they have to say, engage with them, and then make your next question something about what they were just talking about. Ask some kind of a clarifying question about whatever it is, oh, I see you're on the bus here a lot of times. So, are you on your way to work? Yeah, I'm on my way to work. Oh, really? Where do you work? Oh, I work over here, blah, 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 blah. Oh, really? How long you been doing that? Da 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 da. Oh, do you like it over there? This and that and the other thing. And, one of the things to do, you can get to a point in the conversation where you can say, oh, me too. And that gives you this moment of agreement. This moment is a little bit of a connection, right? When they say something and you can say, oh yeah, me too. Like, this bus ride, it's horrible. I can't wait till I get a car again or whatever, right? Oh, me too. And, it could be like that. But then follow that me too up with another question. Instead of going into some long story about your life and how you're this and that and whatever, and trying to impress them with you, the best way to impress a person is to be impressed by them.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ryan has said on this show many times, it's not important how somebody feels about you. What's important is how they feel about themselves when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, one of the best icebreakers is a sincere smile. That's kind of where it starts. A real, sincere smile. Now, how do you do that? You don't just turn the corners of your mouth up. And look, hey, I'm smiling. No, a smile starts from inside, down in your belly. You start to feel this happiness. You can generate this down in your belly and you can start to feel it, start to warm up. And then do this in the mirror sometime and just stand and look at yourself while you go through this process and start to feel this joy in your belly, and then let it just kind of start to radiate up and up and up. And before you know it, you notice your eyes get a little bit bigger and your eyebrows go up, and you don't even have to smile with your mouth, but the whole rest of your face is smiling. And it's cool. And when you approach somebody with that is so welcoming when it's real and it's sincere. And then whatever you say is going to come across friendly, even if you screw it up. It's going to be okay. So, I don't know. I mean, those are just a few hints. It's not so much what you say, but it's, are you relaxed? Are you yourself, like Ryan was talking about? And can you be welcoming and assuring and friendly as you say it. Instead of nervous and intimidated and scared, because then, you're going to have some kind of fear look on your face and it's going to be, you're going to be all tense and timid. But if you can smile and you can be yourself and you can be like, you know what? If they're going to be friends with somebody, I want them to be friends with the real me. Because if I start this friendship as not the real me, then eventually the real me is going to come out and they might not like the real me as much as they like the fake me that I put out there, right? But you want them to like you for you and not who you put forward. And so, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Between what I said and what Ryan said, I hope we gave you some direction. Ryan, did you have anything else to say about this topic?
Honestly, no. I think we did a pretty good job of covering it from all the avenues that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, your experience is gonna be whatever your experience is, and like Joe said, a lot of times it's not what you have in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You just go through with it and let it unfold. I've noticed that in my life it became a lot easier when I stopped trying to figure out what's gonna happen before it happens. Instead, I just kind of, obviously I plan ahead and I try to figure out. But like when it comes to a conversation with someone, I don't build it up in my head just to hurt myself. I just go, let's have this conversation and see where it goes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll take it one step at a time from there, and it
Mm-hmm.
ends up way better. So don't sit there spending too much time creating the story of what's gonna happen in your head before you talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's called overthinking, and it's not that helpful when it comes to um, starting relationships. So yeah, just be yourself. And I know that's hard, but you could totally do it.
Mm-hmm.
Get that ball rolling, and then keep it rolling, and let that momentum just carry you through. And everything Joe said is fantastic. How you treat people, how you engage people, asking them questions, that's huge. That really, really helps them to feel comfortable with you.
Mm-hmm.
When people talk about themselves, they feel like they know you better, which is a weird statement, but people feel good and like they're your friend when they're able to talk about the stuff that is on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big player in this. So listen to this again if you feel like you didn't quite catch everything. I would listen to Joe's specifics again because his are definitely big help, and they helped me a lot when I was starting to learn how to um, engage people. I follow Joe's footsteps because he was the epitome of the perfect example for me when I was starting out. So um,
The epitome of the
yeah,
perfect example.
the epitome, is that the right word? He was the
Hey,
perfect example. I don't know. Maybe.
man, I don't know about that. I was trying, but
Okay. Well, you always did a fantastic job. You always did such a great job.
I
You made
appreciate that.
everyone feel so appreciated and loved just for who they were, even before you quite knew them. It was really awesome. So,
Well,
um,
I hope so. I hope I succeeded in that, and that's really the
yeah,
point is can you spread some peace and love and joy and all that kind of stuff, can you
yeah,
kind of spread light to them, can you make their day a little bit better now that you've walked into it, you know,
yeah, yeah.
and they'll love you for it. And if you take a genuine
Hmm.
interest in them, man, that will go so far. So good luck.
Hmm.
If you have any other questions or any details or anything, or if you want to
Yeah,
share updates, whatever, feel free to do that. You can submit our topic. You can reach us on Discord, whatever you want to do. But yeah, you know, good luck.
yeah. Oh, I guess one last thing about it, just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is also pretty good at this. She'll walk up to strangers and start conversations. She's good at picking out people who look like maybe they could have a new friend or have someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And so what she does in her brain is she manipulates the scenario to go, that person looks like they're just waiting for someone to talk to, and they don't have someone to talk to yet because no one's been brave enough to sink and sit down and talk to him. I'm just gonna go over there and be that person because this person's been waiting for like hours
Mm.
or whatever. This person's been waiting for someone to talk to them for like, days and days on this bus, and no one's doing it for them, and they're not brave enough. So, what? Geez, I'll take it upon myself. I'm gonna go over there and talk to them because that's what they want.
Mm.
So that's kind of how my mom spends it. That's the way she thinks about things. So, or when it comes to like communicating to people, that's the way she thinks about it, and she's not wrong. Um, most of the time, people would love to have someone sit next to them that on the bus that they can actually share a genuine happy time with as they travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
People would like some kind of joy, entertainment outside of playing their little games. They would love to have a friend to sit next to them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, I wish so and so drove this or rid this bus with me so I could have a friend sit next to me. I enjoy my ride. And so take it from that perspective. And Joe touched on that a little bit. So I just wanted to take that to the next level and tell you, my mom does that all the time, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about her and that she's probably wishes she had a friend on the bus. Go be that friend. Go be that friend.
Mm-hmm. You can.
And there you go.
You totally can be that friend.
Boom.
Absolutely.
All right.
And good luck. So you're awesome. You can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you so much for the topic. Thank you so much for submitting it. If again, anybody, if you have a topic, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, fill out the form, click the submit a topic button, then fill out the form. And we'd be happy to do your topic.
Don't do
So,
this out of order.
yes,
Nothing will happen.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
it won't make sense.
Yes, and you are a human.
Yeah, say you're a human. Don't joke around and say you're a robot because it won't help you.
Right. Yes.
We won't get anything.
Right. So I wanted to highlight really quick before we get on to our next topic. Look at this.
But yeah. They're pretty cool.
I have a personalized. I got this for Christmas. This is our special Christmas end of the year episode. This was a Christmas present from Princess. Personalized mug.
Didn't she do a wonderful job? It looks so awesome. And on this side, it says VSS.
And mine's bigger.
Yours is bigger. That's okay. Mine's shaped differently, which is cool.
Yep. Yes. So they're super cool. So Princess, thank you so much for the lovely gift. You're awesome.
You're lovely.
You're very welcome. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Mine is dirty on the inside. Sorry. I've got stuff in it. So
I've got yellow.
It doesn't normally look that dirty on the inside. You can look at Joe's for a better example. My liquid in mine just happens to put dirtiness on it.
It is hot water. Because it's cold outside, man.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my mug water. I got a new mug for mug water. Thanks, Princess, for the mug water mug.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Why am I just randomly
I think
drinking
Meow
hot
was
water?
the one who commented on them and said that they looked really cool. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mug water.
Dude, why am I randomly drinking hot water? Yeah, because I don't know, it's just water. And
so
if it's hot, it warms you up.
Hot water warms you up. It feels good. Also, it gives you more energy.
It takes less energy to make it usable.
There you go. That's a better way to say it.
I mean, technically, it has more energy within it because it's warmer, right?
That is true. The molecules are moving faster. Otherwise, that's why they're hot, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, actually, I learned this in wilderness survival class. I took wilderness survival in college because that was cool. They said if you eat snow, if you're out there in a survival situation and it's snowy, don't eat snow to quench your thirst. Because it has a negative effect. It takes so much energy to heat the snow, to melt it and bring it up to a temperature that's usable for your body. It takes more energy than what you replace with the water that you consume. So it's actually like dehydrating you.
Yeah, so people who go around and they drink really cold water, I'm just like...
Now that can feel good when it's really hot.
It feels good when it's hot. That's true. It feels good. And it can taste good sometimes. It's like, wow, that cold water tastes so good. But I like hot water too. I like warm water. I like all the waters, but
I like all the waters.
I
I
prefer
like
I
all the
prefer
waters. I like the
lukewarm.
muddy waters, the ones with
Yeah, muddy
giardia,
waters. I
contaminated
like acid
waters,
water.
Flint
Mm-hmm.
water.
Yeah, Flint water. Okay,
Okay.
Flint water is not water with pieces of flint in it. It is water from Flint, which is a place in Michigan
Yes.
that was
Has
toxic levels of death
lead.
for a period.
Lead.
Lead of all things, the worst thing that can enter your body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not quite the worst, but pretty bad.
Yep. Yep. It was pretty nasty. So anyway.
Pretty nasty.
All right. So we're gonna move
All right.
on. Thank you
Yes.
guys so much. We're gonna move on to a topic from Meow's twin brother.
Ooh,
Yeah. Welcome, Meow's twin brother. You're
thanks for
awesome.
being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for submitting a topic. This is called Online Alias. And what I'm going to do is get it up here on the screen so that Princess can read it. Then you guys can read along. So, Princess, whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mialado's twin brother. I've been watching Don't Worry Wednesday with him almost every Wednesday ever since he first joined almost 2 years ago. But I've never submitted a topic until now, and I've yet to join the chat. For my first topic, I wanted to start off by expressing how grateful I am to have Don't Worry Wednesday and everyone in it as a part of my life. Y'all are truly wonderful people, and there are no words to fully express how thankful I am for this community. But I'll say some meaningful things that I hope will get the message across. This show has become a regular part of my life. Every Wednesday is Don't Worry Wednesday, and I always make sure that to be there to watch it, unless we have something important already happening at that time. That's the only occasion. Only on occasion. You bring joy to every Wednesday with your fun times and smiles, as well as your heartfelt words and loving community. If my motivation starts to wear down after a week, Don't Worry Wednesday always refills it, leaving me motivated for another week. Y'all are a light in dark times, and you bring extra sunshine to my life no matter the weather. I've learned so many valuable lessons and gained so much wisdom from this show. Whether it's story time, y'all are joking around and having fun, or a deep topic is being covered, it's always a good time with Ryan, Joe, Princess, and everyone else on Don't Worry Wednesday. No matter how tough things are, no matter how bad a day I'm having, or how down I've been feeling, I always know that Don't Worry Wednesday will be here to lift me up and brighten my spirits. Even though I watch it almost every Wednesday, I'm always happy to be watching Don't Worry Wednesday. Y'all have helped me grow to be into the person I am today, showing me the ways to be a better person. This show has made such a big impact on my life. I don't know where I'd be without all you guys. You all always inspire me, and I've always looked up to you. In your mission to create a positive impact on people and influence their lives for the better, you have definitely succeeded in doing that with me. And I'm sure there are many others who feel the same way as I do. Also, thanks for all the incredible music that you all have made. You're all very talented. And thank you, Meow, for finding Don't Worry Wednesday and choosing to join it that Wednesday, which now feels so long ago. You're an awesome twin brother. Every Wednesday, Don't Worry Wednesday takes the worry out of my life and puts joy and hopefulness in its place. Thank you all so much for everything you do. Thank you, Ryan, the one and only Static P. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Princess. Thank you, Joe B. Thank you, Kyle, Ryan's broman. Thank you, everyone else who has subbed in as a host. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, everyone who has posted a topic. Thank you, everyone at Black Static and Swerve. And thank you, everyone who has been a part of making Don't Worry Wednesday the wonderful community that it is. Y'all are awesome, and I'm so glad to have gotten to have this amazing community in my life. Now I'm finally submitting my first topic. So I think I'm ready to also join the chat and become a part of the Don't Worry Wednesday community. I've never done an online chat like this though, and don't have an internet name to use, so I'll need to make one. The question part of this topic is that I'm wanting y'all's thoughts on creating an internet alias. I want to make a name that's cool, unique, and sounds as good as the name, and is also meaningful and representative of me. Any help would be appreciated. And I know y'all have good things to say, like you always do. I'm looking forward to becoming friends with you all, like my brother has. Love y'all. Thanks again. Mialado's twin brother.
Mm. Wow.
Aw.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Thank
Thank
Super
you
you.
sweet.
so much.
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you.
You
Aw.
you are wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, we do try to do our best to be a light, and that it's making an impact for you. That means the world. And
Hmm.
thank you so much for your kind words. So many kind words. My goodness.
Yeah.
You're
Wow.
awesome. You are awesome. So to the topic at hand, coming up with an internet alias, that that can be weird. And you might have more than one.
Mm.
And that's okay. And it's
Mhm.
okay if your internet alias changes over time as you grow as a person.
Mhm. Yep. Mine, well, my name is Joe still here on Don't Worry Wednesday, but on Discord it's Pleb, and that's because my kids gave that name to me,
Hmm.
and it just kind of stuck. They called me Pleb Nub because I'm a total noob when it comes to most of the video games and everything, right? And I totally made a dad joke this Christmas. I bought a bunch of Nerf stuff for Christmas, like Nerf guns and Nerf, hoop and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, you guys are so much better at video games than me. I had to Nerf you."
That joke is great. Oh my gosh.
Top tier quality here.
Yeah,
Wow.
they thought that was a groaner for them. They were like, but whatever,
That's great. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so I mean, you can take a name that somebody has given you. You can come up with your own. You can. I have no idea. Mine was given to me, and it's tough for me to come up with names. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it over to people who have had much more success in coming up with names, and that would be either Ryan or Princess. I feel like Princess might have some stuff to say about this topic. Am I right?
Princess, do you?
Yes, I would.
All
I
Yeah.
right.
Would you like
mean,
to go?
Do you want to go first?
sure.
Go for it.
All right.
Sure, I can go
Yeah.
first.
All right.
I mean, internet nicknames. Oh my gosh. I remember there was one common theme that I really liked, and it's funny that it's now become my main online nickname, which is Princess,
Mm.
because that has gone through many iterations of what was it called? Um, Princess Sugar Plum was the first one because that's what I named. I had a stuffed Build-A-Bear toy animal that I loved dearly, and then I gave it to a classmate when we were young or whatever. But she had gone through a house fire and they had lost everything. And so I thought, if I were in that, I'd want them to have a nice stuffed animal to hug. So I actually gave it away and then cried subsequently later when I realized I really loved it. But, my heart's really big. So, yeah, my mom eventually got me another one. It wasn't quite the same, but it was still. Anyway, so I went from that to then I read some book that was called Peach Fuzz or Peachy Fuzz, and it was about like a ferret that was like princess of a royal kingdom, which was really just like the pet store, and then she was taken away to somebody's house. I really, for some reason, liked it, and so then I was like, "Oh, I'll go with the name Princess Peachy Fuzz." Or Peachy Fuzz 15 because Peachy Fuzz was already taken. Because 15 is my favorite number.
Hmm.
Um, and then from there it went to, well, okay, I still want the theme of princess, but then I was like, well, then I moved on. I was like, oh, I love Pokemon and I really love the mangas and I really connected with a character called Yellow. She's just the sweetest. She's amazing. Anyway, so then I was like, I'm gonna be Princess Yellow, as in like a princess, but related to this character because the character was such a sweet and endearing character. And then time went by, and then I was, totally forgot about all of those things, or they were kind of cringy. And so then it was like, okay, well now that I'm in high school, I really need to come up with a new online alias that really represents me. I was like, what am I going to go with? And then I went into, the more holy phase of. Then I went with Angel, but it was Angel Ren. Because then it was like, but I was also really into Japanese, so I was like Ren Shibuya because Ren was in between Rin and Len, and I really liked the two names. Definitely thanks
Ah,
to Vocaloid. But
that's
I was
great.
like, but I don't wanna be one I'm not Rin and I'm not Len because 'cause I'm not I was like, I'll just combine the two together. They both share a
Mm.
last letter, I'll take first letter of one and the middle letter of the other. It was like perfect. Um, and other names, I've done lots of other naming things, where I've looked at what's the meaning of a name in Japanese, or what's the meaning of a name in this, or names with the meaning of blank, to have that kind of inspiration be in there. Because I like having that. I like having the meaning to my name. But you can also pick a name that's totally doesn't have meaning at all. You could kick Mr. Flufferdoodles. Like I
Mr.
named one of my
Flufferdoodles.
Yep, that's what I named my I had a pet sheep on a keychain. And
Mm.
he was Mr. Fluffadoodles. Whole name. Couldn't leave the Mister off of that.
That's fair.
But
That's fair. It really is only complete with the
Yeah.
Mister. I mean,
Mr.
Yes, that's
Fluffadoodles.
true.
yeah.
But, really what I would do is do some reflecting on yourself. Who are you? What do you wanna be? You could choose a name that's based on who you are now. You could pick it on a value that you really value, or you can pick it on who do you wanna be? What do you like? What do you wanna become? What do you dream of, or what connects with you? I think someone mentioned that their name is Moonlit because they saw a bright shiny rock and were like, "It's moonlit. It's a moonlit rock. I like that. I'm gonna go with moonlit." You know? Um, and then there's others that combine other things like Meow's other name, Star Shay. Sorry if I'm butchering it. But it's like star and shine combined together,
Mhm.
you know? I don't know you very well yet, though I really hope to get to know you better, here in Don't Worry Wednesday land. um,
Where
but
Wednesday land.
Mhm.
But because we don't know you very well, what do you like to do? Do you have hobbies? Are you a singer? Do you like writing? Do you like stories? Do you draw? What do you love to do? What makes you you? Connect with that, and then find a name that really accentuates that. And it's okay if you have to come to Don't Worry Wednesday for the next, 5 or 10 Don't Worry Wednesdays, and you have a different name every day. There's been many years where we've had someone who's changed their name every topic for years.
Mm,
That's
mhm.
And it
right.
was
Oh my
really
Mhm.
fun
gosh.
to try to figure out whose it was, especially when they changed their name after they wrote the topic,
Oh
back
my
when you could
gosh.
edit them.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which again, wasn't a problem other than me trying to make sure that I got all the names and the orders and all, yeah, for the paperwork end, it was a little more difficult, and I don't recommend changing your name constantly because it can be hard for other people who are your friends to catch up and keep up with, what's the latest and greatest in lame land, but, you know that I think that's mostly what I've got is any name is cool and unique as long as you aren't trying to purposely copy somebody else's name.
Mhm.
Mhm.
If you find somebody else with a name similar to yours, that's cool, but more than likely with an online name, you'll probably have some twist to it that's a little bit different. And if not, you can always make it. You can always add titles onto your name,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and that can be the fun of it. That's right. Do I have another? Oh, right. I have another list of my nicknames of things I've been called on Discord. I've been
Mm.
called Bubblegum Jellybean. Uh, I've been referred to as Ruby. I've also been called the voice of Yang because I could sound like Yang to somebody. um, and then I've been called Princess in Yellow. And the next one I'll probably add to the list will be Willow because that's what I seem to be naming all of my like new online things have been Willow.
Hmm.
Um, because I don't know, I liked that, and then I chose I think the other name is Adelina because it's like noble in some language or some combination
Hmm.
thereof. Noble Willow. I don't know, it's cool.
Mm.
But I wanted it to
Nice.
sound different than just being Noble Willow because that sounds a little weird. "Hi, I'm Noble, nice to meet you." So, you know.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's all that I've got, so I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan, see if he has some great, names or
All right.
histories he wants to talk about.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Princess. Yeah, it's interesting naming yourself. I have spent hours naming characters for things. Like I'm making a character in a video game and I have to play as them, so I'm like sit there, I'm like, what's a good name? And I sit there for like an hour trying to figure out a name. So I understand the difficulty, especially when you're naming something that you are going as. My first, man, I had a lot of weird names. My first online name was Mini Mijimo. Um,
Mm.
that's right. That was my email address, Mini Mijimo, and that's what I went as for my email. And then, as like I played my first game online, I went with a name that I was like, I like my name to sound. I wanted my name to sound Japanese for some reason, but I like creating things that haven't existed before. So I was like, I'll create something that sounds Japanese without it being Japanese, especially because I don't know any Japanese. So I created the name Tetsukin. Turns out Tetsukin is actual Japanese. It means iron fist. And I was like, dang,
Mhm.
that's cool. But I didn't know
Yeah.
that for like 4 years after I created it and had been using it. So that was pretty cool. Um, and after that, I did a character named. I guess I did a lot of different character names, none that are super important. Um, and eventually I settled on Black Static as a character because I thought the idea of lightning, but like inverted, would be cool. If
Mm.
like it was daylight and then a black lightning bolt came down and it turned the whole sky black for a second, that'd be really cool. And I was like, so that's what I want to name myself after. But Black Lightning sounded like a silly superhero name, so I went with Black Static
Mm.
because it sounded cooler.
It did.
Um,
It does sound
yeah,
cooler.
and eventually that just turned into Static because everyone called me Static for short, and
Mhm.
then that turned into Static P, and Black Static became a company name, and then Black Static and Swerve became Joe and I combining our companies, and then everybody else getting involved, and here we are.
Mhm.
So names, they can be anything that you associate with, you think is cool, you like, right? Like Princess was saying. Um, man, there are some names that I've created for characters that are really just like I made them so that people would see them and have a chuckle. Like one of my characters' names was I think it was, yeah, old man old man pickle sparkle.
What?
Old man pickle sparkle was his name. And that was fun. And another fun name was just Dr. Boyfriend.
Mm.
Um yeah,
Doctor.
Dr. Boyfriend. Um
You're Mr.
it's pretty
Chips
cool.
for a short while.
Oh yeah, I was Mr. Chips for a short while. When I was on Discord trying to pretend to not be me so that people wouldn't come into the chat room, but it didn't work because everyone was like, "Who's Mr. Chips?" And then they all came on, and I was putting on a voice. I was like, "Hey guys, yeah, I'm Mr. Chip. I'm from Norway, but I don't have a Norwegian accent, you know." But anyways, it didn't work for very long, and everyone just came in. So I was like, "Oh well." Um, so I don't know. Making a name for yourself can be difficult. Lately, I've been using the name Allion Cross because Allion means, well, like kind of like God with you, kind of whatever, and then Cross is for Jesus. So on games, I've just been going by Allion Cross because I don't know, I like the name. It sounds like a real human name, and it's I don't know, it's catchy, right? And so you kind of want a name that sounds good to your ears, right? When you say it, you want it to sound good and be like, "Oh, that came off the tongue nicely. That sounded good. That sounded memorable," right? And so that's helpful. Um, but in the end, I think what Nyansai said is pretty wise. In the end, what matters is not the name, but what you do with it.
Mm.
Nyansai is a person who has had many names. um, They've mostly used Nyan, but since I've known them, it's been like 6 names or something that they've changed. But um, what you do with it, I think, is important. You know, who you are. People will identify you by your name, but they won't recognize you because of the way that the name sounds. They'll recognize you as the person you are, apart, and that name will remind them of you, right? Um, you have your brother, and you call your brother what your brother's name is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, you associate that name with who your brother is, not you don't associate. It's not like the other way around of like, oh, my brother is this kind of person because his name is this. No, it doesn't work that way, right? So, um, anything is really okay. Really, anything is okay, and you can always change it later, and people will catch on. Especially online, it's really useful. In real life, this is a lot harder, but online, it's very easy. When you change your name, everyone can literally see what your name is. And
Mm.
so they read it and then they write that or say that out
Mhm.
loud. Even when I'm playing games with Joe, right? I've known Joe for years and years and years before we ever played a single game together. Like, my gosh, like at least like 10 years before we ever played a single game together.
Mhm.
Um, and for some reason I'm playing the game and I'm like, pleb, what do you oh yeah, well yeah, sure, I just called you pleb, whatever, you know? It's like, pleb, come over here, pleb. And his kids call him pleb too. You know,
Yep.
because when you're playing the game, you read the name of the person on the screen and you just say that out loud, you know? So if you ever feel like you need to change your name, it's no issue. It's easy and people will associate you with that new name. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
So if you want a good name, um, go with something that you think sounds rolls off the tongue nicely, and then um, beyond that, anything's great. Personally, I prefer names that don't include numbers.
Mm.
Um, just because I don't know, names don't include numbers in real life. I like names that are either easy, like catchy, basically. Like you look at it and you never forget it,
Mhm.
or names that sound real, or maybe sound real but maybe of a different ethnicity or something. Those are fun. Um, but really, whatever floats your boat. Meowlido is a unique name, right? And everybody knows Meowlido by Meow, or Meowlido. Like very distinct. Aren't many Meowlidos around. I
Mhm.
haven't seen any. So, but you know, um, it's a good name. Easy to remember. You know, and there's lots of really good names. Just look in the chat. You know, everybody here has a unique name. It's easy to remember. You know who they are. I mean, you know this community, just like we do, and everybody is like, oh yeah, yeah, I know that person. You know, I know what they're like, and etc. And the name becomes secondary to who they are, and I think that that's a beautiful thing.
Mm. Mhm.
So, if you want a good name, I understand sometimes it can take a long time and you think about it and you brew over it. Um, but when you come across one, or maybe you come across a couple and you're not sure, say it out loud to yourself a few times and see how that sounds. Um, because because sometimes things look a certain way, but then when you say them, it's like, oh, yeah, that doesn't that comes off weird, or you know. So say it out loud to yourself, or have your brother say it to you. You
Mhm.
know, that might be a little bit weird and awkward, but hey, it's good because that's what people are gonna say to you. You know, and that's what people are gonna call you by. So, um, I think that there's a lot of good words, and I like Princess's tactic. I've done this tactic before. You look up on a word, you look up a word online that you really like associate with, or you want to be called, or you want to be like, let's say you're really into being courageous, or you like the idea of nobility or valor or majestic things, or maybe you really like the animal, uh, the hermit crab, whatever it is, right? Then you like go to Latin and you translate,
Mm.
or you
Mhm.
go to like I don't know, any kind of language and you translate Japanese, Korean, or, you know, it doesn't really matter. You're like, what do they speak in Kamchatka? I want to do that one. Oh, it's like Arabic. Sure, we can try that. You know, and then you like maybe look at it, see if you like the way that sounds. If you don't like the way that sounds, change it up a little bit or put in a couple of words with it, you know, until you arrive at something that you feel you enjoy and you want to be associated with that.
Mhm.
Um, and there you have it. Those are my offerings to this topic. But thank you so much again for all of your wonderful kind words. And yeah, it means the world to us because that's why we're here, and we
Mhm.
hope to make an impact. And it's so beautiful to be able to do that for even just one person. And it makes every moment spent here worth it, you know, and it's just lovely. So thank you so much. We really appreciate your kind words, and they mean the
Mhm.
world to us. So thank you so much. Yeah. Joe, what do you got,
Um,
if
I-
anything?
man, I after that I ain't got nothing. You guys like nailed it. And so like I said, I go by pleb because it was given to me because I'm terrible at naming things.
Yeah. I go by Steady Pete because that was given to me by 2 Japanese people. So,
Yep.
I've gone with Princess because that's what Ryan and Jesse called me when they started streaming.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at some point you might just settle on what people call you.
Yep. That's true. And and like I said at the beginning, you can take a nickname people have called you. People don't have nicknames for me. I'm Joe. And so it always
It doesn't get
defaults
shorter than
back
that.
to that because it's simple and it's easy to say. And but sometimes they'll elongate it and they'll be like Joe.
It cut out for some reason on our end, but yeah. We know you in a long time.
Yeah, that's how it'll be. And and that's fine. And it's funny because even in DMs, even on Discord when I'm in DMs with people don't call me pleb when they're saying my name in while they're chatting with me. They still say Joe. Right? Because they know who I am because that's
Arson Joe.
Arson Joe. Uh-huh. Yep, because I have a flame there, But yeah, so anyway, hey, I think take what Ryan and Princess has said and, go with that because they have some really good stuff. And if I ever decide I want to change my name, it's not a huge priority on my list at this point. But if I did, then I would probably go back and take their advice and I would look up different things that might represent me and look it up in a different language or whatever, right? And then come up with something. Who knows? But, cat. I should keep changing the color of my flame icon depending on my mood. Oh man.
Oh, that's great.
Why do you think it's black?
Oh no. It doesn't change. It already is. No.
Yeah, I've been doing that actually. So anyway, void of emotion. I wish. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Meow's twin. Thank you so much for the topic. Princess or Ryan, did you guys have anything else to say about this?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Well, then let's move on. Thank you so much for the topic. And yeah, and again, thank you for the kind words as well. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that, this that this show, that what we do on Wednesdays has been helpful for you and has been a place where you can come and feel some light and some warmth and some love. And, I'm so happy because that's really the point. We want to help you feel better. We want to help you, whatever it is that might be happening in your life. We want to help you feel better. That's what this show is all about, helping you get through whatever it is you might be going through. And yep, that's why it's Don't Worry Wednesday. And it's Wednesday and you're not allowed to worry. And again, if you have a topic, go to don'tworrywednesday.com.
Yeah.
And click the submit a topic button and fill out the form. But anyway, thank you so much again. And, let us know. We're happy to have you as a lurker. And we're also happy to have you join in the chat. Once you come up with a name, we would love to see it and love to get to know you more. So you're awesome. And thank you so much. But anyway, all right, let's move on to our next topic. Let me refresh the page here. Let's see what the wheel has for me. It's got a handful of topics that I can pick from, and I can just pick. Oh boy, this is scary.
Or you can just wait a minute.
I can just...
I mean, that's
a
up to you.
better option.
One question is Moonlight, are you still here, Moonlit?
Moonlight.
Or is it too late for you? Because I think they mentioned something about that earlier.
It's too late to do my topic.
Moonlit just said something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's too late to do my topic.
'Cause I'm tired. Oh no.
Hey, good. Good job. The
I've
dishes are
returned.
clean. The dishes
clean.
are my favorite chore. My
Ding
absolute
dong,
favorite
the
chore.
dishes are done. The dishes
I'm
are
worrying that
done.
it's Thursday. Oh
Dishes are done,
no,
man.
it's not Wednesday. I can't tell you not to worry.
Hey, but we have our
Okay.
answer. Moonlit is here. So we're gonna do Moonlit's topic.
I posted a image that Hatsu gave me. It's cute. It's really cute.
Yeah, we can do their topic.
Okay. Cool. Well, we will do Moonlit's topic. This is called Prelims Review from Moonlit. And what I will do is get it up here on the screen as quickly as I possibly can. And then Princess can read it while you guys read along. So, Princess, whenever you're ready.
Hi, so I am here to ask what's the best way to review. I have prelims, basically exams before the actual exams, to help teachers know what to help us focus on for those who don't know. And I'm wondering what to do as I'm starting to stress over this now. My earliest one is on the 12th English, which is getting closer and closer, and I feel as though I am lost in a whirlpool of anxiety and failure. Thanks in advance, and sorry if there are any spelling mistakes or errors. From Moonlit.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes, I can certainly understand the stress and the anxiety that comes along with this. Exams, it's sometimes it's weird. Some of us are like really good at taking tests, some of us are not very good at taking tests, and sometimes the anxiety that comes with taking an important test can really kind of psych us out with, as far as how we do on the test, because the anxiety can make us freeze, and then we just do less good on the test because we're all tense and anxious and stuff, right? So one of the keys I've found is to try and help myself relax. One of the things I've done before when I've been faced with this is I just say to myself, you know what, this test is going to come and it's going to go. There's going to come a point where this is over. I would do this for performances too. I would do this a lot for performances like on stage. And I'd be like, you know what? In just a little bit, this is going to be over with. I'm going to go out there. Something's going to happen. And then it's going to be done. And I've done the same thing with tests. Where I'm like, you know what? This is coming. I'll do my best. I'll review my best. I'll go through and study my notes. I can, sometimes writing things can help. Sometimes outlining a chapter can be helpful. It depends. Sometimes making flashcards or whatever, or practicing the different things that are in the book. Those things can all be helpful for review. But one of the things, to get over the anxiety, I've heard people say the better you are at being prepared, the less anxious you're going to be. And I don't think that's always true. I think sometimes we just have high anxiety when it comes to taking tests, and that might be the boat you're in. I don't know for sure. But the better prepared we are, it can reduce the amount of anxiety we have. But I think sometimes we just get anxious when it comes to a test or when it comes to a big event or when it comes to, something we perceive as being a big deal. And what I like to do in those moments when I'm feeling completely shocked and, stuck and frozen in spot because of anxiety is I'll remind myself, you know what? This time is going to pass. This time is going to pass. I remember the first Don't Worry Wednesday, the first handful of Don't Worry Wednesdays that I did way back in 2018 were, we did this. I did this same thing with myself where I was like, okay, we're going to go on and then it's going to be over in 2 hours. And whatever happens is what's going to happen. And then it'll be over. And then that'll be it. And so just reminding myself that there's an end point sometimes helps me, and just then kind of giving it up and saying, all right, I'll do my best. And whatever happens, happens. I had to do that. I remember when I filed for divorce, same thing. Got all these papers together, got everything filled out, got everything. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it was this big mad rush to get all this stuff notarized and sent and got into the courthouse and everything like that. And this huge thing. And I'm like, okay, the ball is officially rolling. Whatever happens is going to happen. And then it's going to be done. And I still have to tell myself that because it's still like, even though the divorce is final, it's still like an ongoing craziness, right?
There's
But
still the consequences carrying out.
yep, absolutely. So anyway, Moonlit, if that can help you relax to know there's going to come a point when this is over, you're going to put down your pencil or, close up your computer, whatever, however you take a test, there's going to come a point when it's over and you're going to be done. And that's going to feel so good when it's done. And whatever happens between now and then is what's going to happen. And hey, it'll work out how it works out. And sometimes that can help to relax. But I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he has to say about different ways that you can review or be more prepared or just help you relax and feel better about this whole situation. So, Ryan, take it away.
Sure. Apparently the word has been changed from review to revision, but is there a difference?
The
If
way
yes,
that it's meant to be is it's the British version of revise, because revising, at least in America, is more, re-examining and making alterations. So revising would be you took a test and maybe they will let you change your answers to the correct
mm-hmm.
answers for
Mm-hmm.
Right,
extra
right.
credit. But in Britain, it is actually reread work done previously done to improve one's knowledge or subject, typically to prepare for an examination,
Mm.
rather than
Oh,
as something that you do to edit to get points back later. And that's the
okay,
disconnect here. So
got it.
it's
Yeah, I mean
basically
it's
reviewing your
this
work,
right.
but I
Yeah.
use the word review, not revision, and so that was the
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep,
so.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool, thank you. Yeah, so that's tough. When I was in school, I didn't I didn't do my homework a whole lot.
Hmm.
Was not a good student. Um and I just passed all of my tests. And so I passed school mostly by doing tests and doing a tiny bit of homework. Because I didn't care. Um And me not caring made it super easy for me not to be anxious about anything. I'm just like, this is gonna go how it goes. I don't care. And that's hard because Moonlit, obviously, you do care, right? So I can't claim to be in the same realm as you in this. What I can say is that it's important to recognize that however you do, right? However good you do on your tests, however good you do at reviewing, right? Or revising, however good you do, it's not the end of the world if you fail. In fact, it almost doesn't matter whether you succeed or you fail. You should try your best to succeed, right? But in the end, it's not life or death. There's always another chance, or there's another field that you can work in, etc. If you are if you're trying to do your best on a subject and you're going into this subject um for life and it's not clicking, that's okay. And you can still do that subject as your work, whatever, for your life, right? You can still work at that subject. But if it could be something that's trying to get you to go in a different direction. What I mean is, we all have our strengths and weaknesses in our brains.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you hit a wall and you recognize I'm not good at this, and that's okay, because I'm supposed to be in a similar field, but just not this one. Or I'm supposed to be in a different field altogether. And sometimes that's what happens in life. I'm not saying that is what's happening to you right now, Moonlit. I'm just saying ease up on the worry, because if, you know, obviously I have a song. We don't know where this life might take us, but that's a true statement. That song was written mainly because I know people in my life who, when their plans don't work out, they freak the heck out and they get all kinds of anxious and sometimes even mean, right? They get a bad attitude because they're so worked up over their plans not working.
Mm-hmm.
And the counter to that is to recognize most of the time our plans don't work out.
It's true.
But we're still okay. And we're still working, right? It doesn't have to work out how we planned to be a great life. There are an incredible amount. In fact, probably every human on earth that is known as a great human being, right? Whether it be a saint or a large or a significant scientific figure or math figure, or historian or geologist or I don't know, anything, right? A cartographer, right? Anything. The person who invented the printing press, who I don't know who it is, but the printing press was apparently really important. Thanks, history class. The thing is, most of the time things don't go our way. And it's the very fact that things don't go our way that we end up where we are. It's the fact that things don't go our way that we end up making new discoveries or becoming great people. In fact, if you look at the lives of almost every saint, it was the fact that it didn't go as planned that they became good enough to be a saint. Or the fact that it didn't go as planned because they got killed for being holy. And the people of that area didn't like that, and so they killed them, right? And we look up to those people for standing up for what they believed in and trying to do the right things for all people, right? We look at people who we count as heroes. We look at people who we count as, significant figures. And we recount their lives and we look at them and we go, wow, that didn't go as planned, did it? But that's why we can appreciate them so much. Not just because they were able to stick through when it didn't go their plan, but because those things built them into the person they needed to be. Right? So if you take that into mind, if you recognize that that is the truth, that is the actual truth. The idea that everything matters on this one test, that's the lie. The idea that this, that you have to have everything perfectly correct in order to be successful in life, that's a lie. The idea that you have to be just perfect without error in anything in order to be successful, or that you even have to be, quote, successful at all, those are the lies.
I mean, what is successful, anyways?
Right. It can be defined in so many different ways. And yeah, so what I'm aiming to do is not say that your work is stupid, don't do it. You should review. But I'm trying to help you rid yourself of that anxiety. In order to rid yourself of anxiety in this world, you need to take courageous steps. And it doesn't mean that you'll just be free of anxiety for the rest of your life just because you're courageous. Courage requires that you have something to be afraid of. Right? But I want you to recognize that you don't have to be that afraid. Because our lives, they grow and they move in ways that we can never predict. Our lives are so incredible. And you have to let yourself be a little bit more loose and lax and recognize, hey, if I fail this, that's going to be okay. I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I don't fail. But the thing is, I don't have to worry about whether I succeed or fail because I know either way it's going to be okay. And that allows you the freedom to stop worrying and just work at what you're trying to work on. If I'm working on anything in life and I'm worried so much about how it's going to turn out, I end up spending so much of my mental energy on that worrying that I don't end up getting a good product. I stop myself from working as hard because my focus and my energy is being placed in this spot. And this whole thing is taking up so much energy in my brain that I can't actually work like I want to, right? And so what I'm trying to do is I'm telling you, work at it. And the more you work at it, the more secure you should feel in it. But recognize whether it turns out or it doesn't turn out, it's going to be awesome.
Hmm.
It is. That's the bottom line. I can write a song and I can spend forever. And I recognize that it doesn't matter if it turns out to be a huge success or it doesn't. I just have to write the song. It will do what it will do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can advertise the song, I can market the song, I can do all these things, but it ultimately will succeed or fail, and I have very limited power on that. And whether it does or it doesn't, my life just continues. And I can make the best of my life whether that song fails or succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true for you here now. Whether you can put a ton of work into your stuff, and it's good that you do, you should. But whether it fails or succeeds, you can make the best of your life, regardless. You can make the best out of your life because you still have life to live. And so it's okay if it doesn't work out, but definitely put time into it. Princess apparently wants to say something, so I'm going to give it over to her.
Perfect.
What is the goal of a test, anyways? Now, that how you have your attitude towards it is kind of how you answer that question, right? If it's just for a grade, you're like, "Ugh, I don't like tests. It's for grade.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there to give me the piece of paper that either I'm smart or I'm not," you know? But I've never really liked that. But
For
I
me,
have
it was,
always loved tests.
yeah,
Always.
me too.
So much better than homework. 100%.
Mhm.
Because part of it is you show up, you do it, and it's done. It's what
Yeah.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
The worst they can do is throw it
Over.
back at you and say, "Okay, you got some questions wrong. Find the right answers, rewrite them on the test. I'll give you partial credit back." Otherwise, if it's done, it's done. Whatever grade it is, it just is. And it's done. And the real goal of a test is to tell you what you know and what you don't know, based on what you think you know and based on what you think you don't know. And all that you can do is answer as best as you can with what you think you know and what you guess might be right, you know? Especially when it's a practice test, which is what it sounds like the prelims are. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a prelim is still graded and, rawr. But oftentimes for big exams at the end of a college semester, for instance, we would have a practice test that teachers would put together, which were great. Otherwise, they did study guides, which was basically how I studied for stuff was I went through the homework from the first day to the last day as long as they handed it back to you, and I'd basically just read through what were the questions and what were the answers, what was the information there, you know. And then I would, save the practice test as being its own thing where I just take it as is. I take it like a test. I just I give myself some amount of time and I just answer it. And if I don't know, I either don't answer or I write down something or I just make a squiggle doodle that's really cute. So I'll give myself partial credit later for the heck of it.
Yep.
But you write down as best you can, and you learn very quickly once you go over and I'm like, okay, here's the key. Or if you have to look up the answers yourself, you look them up later. And it's like, okay, what was the answer to the first question? I answered water. It was carbon. whoops, I misread that it was, what are the 5, this one has 5 magical properties versus 4 magical properties. Well, now I'm gonna remember that water has 5 magical properties and carbon has 4 magical properties. At the top of my head, I don't remember what the properties are, forgive me.
Hmm.
But
That was way more than I knew, so good job.
they do, water is amazing,
I
anyway.
didn't know there was magic in science.
Yes, there is.
Science
It's
is
it's it's
magic.
science we haven't discovered yet, that's what we call magic.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because there's many things we still don't know. But anyways, so I'm never really afraid of tests, and I love practice tests because it's like, okay, good. I get to take a test where they don't actually grade me, and I get to know what I know and know what I don't know so that I know what to brush up on or what sections, because usually, any sort of class is broken up into chapters. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, or this is the concept of how you do a chair diagram. This is the concept of organic chemistry nomenclature.
Mm.
you know and it's like, okay, I did really well with the chair configuration. I knew how to draw it. I knew how it changed. I could do all the dots and stuff. And then when it came to the nomenclature, I have a lot of memorization to do because I really don't remember like my ketones or my alcohol groups or whatever. I'm using science as an example because I'm a scientist, so
Mm. Mhm.
but it could apply to anything, right? And so I see tests not as a moment to panic, but as a moment of, okay, this is where I can really double check that I know what I know and I don't know what I don't know. Or I guess quizzes are great for that. But, you know, in the end, a test is just a test. It just tells you, hey, this is what you knew based on what I asked and how I asked it. And this is what you didn't know based on what I asked and how I asked it you know? And there's no shame if you don't understand a question on a test, go up to the teacher. If that means that you have to go up every 2 questions, go up every 2 questions. They might start giving you like the really? But again, if it's about understanding it, you should understand it. You should be able to ask and be like, "Hey, what are you actually asking here? Are you asking me to spell this thing out or are you asking me to like write about it? Is this a moment where I need to explain this as like a definition or is this about, using this in a sentence? You know, I don't know. I'm not giving great examples, but I hope the point still comes across that it's, the way to the study for these is the way that you study to understand your information. What have you
Mm.
done? For
Mhm.
some people, they love reading the book and the book helps them a ton. They have a textbook, that's what the teacher's been teaching with, and that helps them. Me, book is the worst possible way you could ask me to learn. The worst. Because whenever that's been the case, it's usually been an open note test where they're testing on grammar, and I have to write every single word of the entire chapter into a tiny little book instead of it being in the textbook. And I'm doing the equivalent of looking up like where it is in the textbook, copying and pasting the answer in, and
Mm.
calling it learning.
I
It's
don't
not.
like open note because that makes you do even more work. You could just
Mm.
take a test, or you can take you
Right.
write
Because if it's
stuff down
closed
and then
note,
take
then
a
at
test. I
least
don't like
then they,
that.
they they understand that you have to be able to have it memorized and learned and not something
Yeah.
that, is just, your ability to look up stuff as fast as possible.
Hmm.
But,
Well,
anyway, for me, I often find if they assign homework is a great thing to look at because generally they take the concepts from there. If you have quizzes are a perfect example because those are usually the small tests that they put in between the big tests. So you know what they're going to test you on the big test based on what they did the small test.
you
Most
can even
teachers
find the
also,
same questions in the quizzes as on the test, like word for
yeah,
word.
Mm.
or they
Sometimes.
just change the number and it's the exact same concept if it's math related.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing that you can do is just do your best. There was one time on a math problem where I knew all of the steps but one step, like near the end, but not quite, where you're supposed to use some formula that I didn't have memorized. So I did all the steps up to that point. I inputted some weird random equation thingy that got me like I don't know how, but I kind of knew what the answer should be. And so then I fudged the rest of it doing the other steps, and I got a number that was kind of what it should be, but also kind of not. And I got 75% of the points on that
Mm.
question for showing that. even though
Nice.
I definitely got the wrong answer and did not know a part of it.
Mm,
I looked
mm,
smarter than I looked because I got to an answer.
Uh-huh.
mhm.
Um, but, that taught me, "Oh, that's the part I don't know. I know, how to get from the bottom, and I know how to get through it to the top, but there was that middle step that I just didn't know." So, that's kinda my recommendation is, if it's a prelim and it's not graded, just look at it as like, "This is my moment to know if I know something or know if I need to spend some time with some quality learning about that subject or something like that subject. If it's in more essay type thing and you just didn't get good points on like writing enough sentences or writing detailed enough, then maybe you can ask your professor, like, hey, I didn't get many points on this, but I don't quite understand how I did wrong or what you were looking for. Is there a certain number of sentences you're looking for? Was it just certain information, like multiple things? Like, how can I read into understanding your question so I can answer it properly? You know? If it's multiple choice, take a guess. You have a 1/4 chance to be right, and if you can eliminate options that it's not, then you can get up to a 50-50 chance.
Mhm.
Or sometimes you can even get the answer right because 'cause you're like, "It can't be this, it can't be this, and I really don't think it's that, so I guess it's this." You know? So there's many different ways of, process of elimination, and you know, what do you know? What don't you know? What do you know is probably not it, you know? And there's a certain
Right,
amount of
not
things you
this
can
answer.
yeah, well, it's helpful. Like if I know that the magical property of water isn't gonna be that it, floats, that's like, okay, you know. But ice floats, that's one of the magical properties. I know that it's sticky. I might not know the correct term for it, but at least I can write that, and I've shown that I have some understanding, you know? If you don't know that you need to whether it's oil or grease for a certain, thing, for keeping something so that it'll actually solidify in place because it has a bunch of grooves in it, and that's how it makes a proper seal. At least you've demonstrated that, hey, you have to put something there and it's not just you put the grindy lid on the other grindy lid and it'll make a seal. No, you have to have a lubricator in there to make sure that it slides nice, but it also makes the seal.
Mm.
And in the end, that's really the most valuable part of a test is the information you remember from it,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So, a test is just a tool. It doesn't need to be a big scary monster, you know. It's not the end all be all. You're not gonna live or die based on your test, really.
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
There's many ways that you can do other things, or you can do another test, or you can take the class again, or whatever needs to happen to get through it. But, it's not the end of the world, as Ryan said, and he went through a totally different way of looking at it. For me, I love tests, and I look at it as like tests are here to help me. They're the things that float me.
Mm.
You know? They're what get me, "Oh, I know this," or, "Oh, I don't?" And there's many times where if I have a friend or, any sort of study group that I could get together, like, it'd be like, "Okay, well, let's ask each other questions," you know, that we think might be on the test, or if there's a study guide where they have a bunch of then that's another thing to do, um, where you ask each other questions. The other greatest way to really know that you know information is teach it to somebody else.
Mhm.
Because when you have to teach somebody else a thing, you have to know it well enough to teach it to them, right?
Mhm.
So if I wanted to teach you through the central dogma of DNA, then I would first tell you, okay, so your body is made up of cells. They're small little things that house what's called a nucleus. It's another basically circle inside your circle, and it holds all the information. It's your brain. It's a little cell's computer going. "Do, do, 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 okay, we need to make this over here and this over there, and and it has all that information stuff. And if we want to analyze it, then we need to extract the information that it has from the cell, right? And so you have to first take away the first layer using usually a soap or something. that'll poke little holes in it, so that's all holy. But to
You
take the
get
next one, you gotta poke
that's
holes
why
into
Swiss
that
is the
too,
best cheese.
make it nice and holy, so that the DNA can slip through and, you can separate it out, and then you can use that to then read it, because it's made up of a whole bunch of different sequences, and those sequences can be read into a language that makes proteins or makes other stuff, which is its own language that makes all of the things of who you are. Like your hair. Your hair is made up of proteins that were all strung together using the language of DNA,
Mm.
using the amino acids of well, amino acids, I guess, is the chain chunk versus the now I can't remember the term of it. But anyways, A, T's, C's, and G's, which is the lovely alphabet of the DNA,
Mm.
you know. Anyways, I digress. But being able to teach that to somebody else, for if you took this to your parents or a sibling, or even just an online friend, and you just wanted to, hey, I really want to get this down. How do I explain this? You know, um, can you let me try to explain this to you to understand it? Also, it's 30 minutes, not 24. Just kidding. But anyways, that would be my recommendation. That's another great way, is if you can teach it to somebody else, whether that's a classmate or, a friend, that's a great way to know that you really have that information down. So that's where I'm
Nice.
gonna leave it
That's
and
true.
turn it over to Joe or Farai, if they have any other things they want to
I got
add.
nothing.
You got nothing? I haven't even gotten to talk yet, and I don't have much.
Good.
I mean, I did talk at the beginning, I
Good luck.
guess. Yeah,
you did. That's true.
Yeah. So, I will tell you this, Moonlit. I would go back and listen to what Ryan and Princess had to say, because they had some really, really good information, and really, like, in this situation, I went back and I reread through your topic, and it said you have prelims. They're basically exams before the actual exams to help teachers know what to help us focus on, and for those who don't know, so that's what the whole purpose is, to figure out what they need to help you with. So the test isn't really for you. The test is for the teacher, to see how the teacher's doing. And in a way, that's how all tests are. How students do on their tests reflects on the teacher's ability to teach the class. And there are a lot of factors that go into that. Sometimes students aren't necessarily teachable, so it's not it doesn't always reflect on the quality of the teacher. But that's where a teacher can get feedback and see, okay, how good of a job am I doing at teaching my students, at helping my students learn this stuff, right? When we're taking a test, we think in terms of, oh my gosh, I got to get this grade, or else I'm going to look dumb, or I'm going to look, or I'm not going to get a good mark on it, and then my grades are going to be low, and then my whole life's going to be ruined, because I'm not going to get into the college I want to get into, and I'm not going to ever get the career path that I want, because that's what everybody tells me at school. They tell me I need to do good on all this stuff, because or else my life is going to be ruined. No. That's way over drama, right? But I remember being sold that line of goods. Like, if you got to study, you got to work hard, you got to make sure you get all this stuff. And it's good to study and work hard, but not because your life is going to be ruined if you don't do good on a test. Not at all. And really, this is one of the things. It's so funny because you have a chance to review this stuff, right? You're going through and you're going through to see, how can I prepare for this test? And in real life, what happens generally is we get the test, and then we see how we scored, and then we figure out that's the feedback we get and what to do better, right? We can prepare, we can study, we can look through things and all that kind of stuff, but really that's how, like, in the world outside of school, we kind of get the test first, and based on how we did, that's how we see where we need to improve. And so Princess really nailed it, because she's like, hey, a test is great because it's going to give me that feedback on where I need to learn, where I need to dig in, where I need to do to get better, right? And I figured out as both of them were talking, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I am neurotic. Because I'm listening to Ryan, I'm listening to Princess, and I'm like, wait, I'm a perfectionist, right?
Mm.
And I'm a musician. And there is no perfection in music, in production, in writing, in performance, in any of it. There's absolute perfection is this nebulous thing that does not exist. We can try and get close to it, we can try and do whatever, but imperfections actually humanize music. My little
They make it more
imperfections,
interesting and
they do.
enjoyable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, but it's weird because I'm a perfectionist and I always wanted to score perfectly on tests. And I would do that, man, all the way up through halfway through middle school. I had like rock solid 4 point. I aced almost every test and every homework assignment. I worked hard and I did really, really well. I remember when I got done with fifth grade, they were like, "Yeah, you actually have a 4.4 average, like GPA,
Wow.
because of extra credit and all this kind of stuff." And then I was just like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." But then things got a little bit harder, things got a little bit more challenging, and then it was, and then I think I
Life
ended
happened.
yeah, I ended up in National Honor Society and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I graduated with high honors, 9 GPA. Uh-oh. Is our stream okay? Something happened. Oh, no, I got all right. Okay, looks like it's
Yep.
back now.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Sweet. So anyway, it's not that big a deal. It's not. Okay. Ryan talked about, producing. He talked about whether I write a song, this one song is not going to change my life all that much. But what really makes a difference is all these songs, as long as I can continue releasing them, that's what matters. It's not this one particular one. And this one particular test is not going to make or break you at all. But I do appreciate you asking the question because how we prepare for tests can be very helpful. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things, like Princess had some great stuff. She's so comfortable taking tests. She loves them, right? And that's great. And so if you can listen to her and try to adopt that mentality of, you know what? This isn't that big a deal. This is feedback for me. This is what's going to tell me where I'm at. This is how I'm going to learn. This is how I'm going to get better. If you can take that approach rather than the freak out, the anxious, right? The, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. And that was me because I'm a failure if it's not perfect. And I'm a musician where perfection is impossible. And so I'm always a failure. And I always automatically hate everything I produce.
That's well.
It's only if you have failures and not perfection.
Right. Yeah. Right. But anyway, this is not the end of the world. This is not going to make or break you. You're going to be fine. And like you said in your topic, they're there to help the teachers know what to focus on, to help you for the actual exams that are coming, right? So it's more for the teachers to get a really good baseline. So really, the better you can do at just being completely 100% honest with how much you know about this subject, the better teaching you're going to get from this point until the final,
Right.
until the actual exam, because it's going to
Mm-hmm.
give them an accurate baseline of where you are so they know where to teach. They know what to dig in to and how to help you move forward. So in a way, it's good for you to not do good on this exam. because you're going to
There's
get more
one thing
teaching.
that I would like to talk about, which is
Mm-hmm.
like I really don't like using failure as a way of measuring either you succeeded or you failed. I
Mm.
really don't like it. I know some people like to judge their life that way, or some people just do, but I find failure is very defeating. Failure usually has that stigma of, oh, I can't get better. Oh, failure is, oh, I failed. There's
Mm.
nothing I can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't like that. Which is why I tend to be like, there's the stuff that I got right and the stuff that I am going to now learn.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because it's not about failing the test. It's nothing to do with that. There's no failing in the test because you succeeded in doing it and you succeed in learning that you learned it, or you succeed in learning, oh, I didn't know this. Whoops.
Mm.
Something to learn now. It's not a failure. There's really no failing in my opinion. I know that there's failing a class or whatever, and you're like you didn't have enough points, but it's you just didn't succeed yet. I don't know. I much prefer having that attitude of it's not about failure, and it really shouldn't be. That should not be the focus because if you focus on failure, that's all it's going to be. If you focus on the success or focus on, oh, here's where I improve, that goes to me at least so much better because it's about getting better.
Mm.
It's not about getting failed,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing because I and nothing against I understand people seeing that you have to fail to succeed at life. It's like I mean you can look at it that way, but I also think that you don't have to fail to succeed at life. You can make mistakes, you can learn, because that's really what you need to succeed at life,
I guess it
is to
depends on how you
learn.
define failure or what you allow to be considered failure. Because some
Yeah,
people would say mistakes are a failure. Some people wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and for me, a mistake is something I can still correct. That's something that I learned from a little poster in school.
Mm.
A mistake isn't a failure because you can you can still change it,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and I know that that's based on, again, people's perspectives, right? And for me, I don't find it helpful to have a perspective of failure.
Mm.
It's because if I have that, I focus on it and I hyper focus on it because I also am a perfectionist. And so it's very easy if I wanted to fall into the trap of calling myself all sorts of names, all that I have to do is say that I've failed. And I can list out a laundry list of all the worst possible traits that you could see in me, of which I know these two over here would very much disagree with the giant list.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's many things to disagree about because I'm wonderful, I am smart, I have a lot of things going for me. But if you base me off of the failures or the things I didn't get right, you'd never see it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If you based me off of what I've learned, I'm a real smart person.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz I've learned a whole lot.
Mm.
So, that's all I wanted to add on there.
Awesome. Thank you, Princess, so much. And I really like what you were getting at because you're right. I mean, the word failure can really be disempowering. And so maybe change it. Maybe take it out of your vocabulary or change your definition of it, Like, hey, it's all right. It's a mistake. I don't know. I use the word failure and it is disheartening at times, in my own mind and in my own, in my journaling and all the different stuff that I do. But hey, this is where we're at, right? So I think you're going to be just fine, Moonlit. I think you're going to be just fine. Because here's the thing, the test is coming, it's going to be over at some point, and then when it is over, everything's going to fall into the place where it belongs, and your teacher is then going to know where they need to teach you and what they need to teach you and what they need to help you the most with. And so it's really going to be a good win for all of you. So that's good. And so just be honest, do the best you can, remember what you can, and then let your teacher then use that information to teach you and to help you learn what you need to finish the class. So you're awesome, and I think you're going to be just fine. And one test isn't going to make or break you, for sure. So anyway, thank you so much for the topic, Moonlit. You guys were all set, right? Ryan, Princess? Okay, cool. So yeah, that's going to pretty much do it for this show of Don't Worry Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for being here and for all your topics. Sorry if we didn't get to your topic today. We will do our best to get to it next week. Also, next week, we are planning to go back to our regular time at 8 o'clock instead of 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So barring any craziness or whatever, that's the time it's going to be at. And so we'll be here right as close to 8 o'clock as we can.
That's right. We'll do our best.
Depending on technical issues and all that other stuff. But anyway, thank you guys. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful holiday season and enjoying yourselves and your families. And if you're on break, enjoying your break. And yeah, so thank you so much. And Happy New Year. Because next
Merry
time
Christmas,
we see
Happy
you,
New Year, all those.
It's going to be 2023.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You guys made it.
I
The
know.
human race has made it to 2023. Good job, guys.
I know.
Way to keep it together. Way
And
to go.
I remember movies back in the 90s that talked about what it was going to be like in 2023. It is not like that.
Not at all. Where's George Jetson? I haven't even seen his family around here.
Yep. So awesome. You guys are great. And Happy New Year. Have a great rest of your season. Thank you so much for all of your support. We could not do this show without you. And we will be back next Wednesday. Until then, have a wonderful life. And we will see you next time on Don't Worry Wednesday. Take care, you guys. We love you.
Yeah. Love you guys. Peace.
Much love.